very good morning. Sayfile Shailen Simbiesi to Paulo Chokonakala Wetlele Fulham Texan. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's a Wednesday, the 28th of February 2024. Kusebenza ilanga linye ukuthi siphethe inyanga yendlovana umnyaka ngo-2024 londvuselako kulungelele makagula sibonga kakhulu ukuthi nibe nasi lo mhlekiseni. You can watch us on our YouTube page kanjalo naka DSTV channel 286. Mnguni, how are you this morning?
Okay, Lungelele, I'm just a little bit worried. Good sangabe say summer noma winter. Lamakata 3 days in a row. So I don't know if we're in a cold front. I don't know what's really happening, but makata.
Na yonkinga ke bantu makushisa khona na makubanza
No, I'm just saying it's been 3 days and it's extremely cold. My temperatures are ranging at around 14 degrees Celsius. Nangabe asetulu. So angathi kwente kanti but nje ukukhutsata ukuthi bantu bambathe ngoba we did see ukuthi there are imilayeto lephuma khona itiko letempile ekuthenini kune COVID-19 lesephinza ivela. About 7 new cases have been identified once again, and what is called a long COVID. COVID ke lesehlele isikhathi lesitse. So those symptoms are still there. Kukutsata nje sive samaswati ukuthi sibe ngilesi warm sisaphuma etindlini. Nakhona etindlini sisehlele khona. Bantu nje babe ngilaba warm but protect. Nangabe futhi uyakhona ukugcoka sifonyo sakho bakhutsata naloko ukuthi especially now nalo mkhuhlane shangathi unga protector labo. It's just that from me. Otherwise, I'm really good this morning. How are you?
I'm alright, Space. I think ngibabonile nje bamfla bambalo edolobheni bayawafaka lama mask because that is what the ministry emphasized on ukuthi ngisho ngabe unemkhuhlane ngisho ngabe uvama symptoms but nje protect yourself and protect others ukuthi bathole lo mkhuhlane. Anyway, on the show namuhla sitabe sikhuluma kabantu ngetindzaba emabhizinisi so nje sibuka inkulumo ya Minister Neil Rackenberg nakasukumisa nomngana kethula emaphakelo alonyaka wavela ke ukuthi i-business incubation program yalapha even provides support that helps entrepreneurs to develop and grow their businesses. Kanti ke ku speech sakhe wavela ukuthi a total of 155 businesses have been part of the program in the financial year 2023-2024, providing employment to 994 eMaswati and averaging about 5 million in sales revenue per month. Sabesina said ko MD Kethiwe Mhlanga sikhulumisana nje nama programs lindiwa said kokuthuthukisa abosomabhizinisi labancane. Their recent program nje is the Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund business training, coaching and mentorship project, which is targeting 250 youth-owned enterprises to create 500 jobs. Utabe anathi ke nga 6:30 lemuhla.
And perhaps on that note, Lungelele sakhuluma yona indzaba lenkulu ukuthi kunema business incubator program that are encouraging entrepreneurship. We did see the culmination of a Vukubone Sound Lab, which was launched by the Eswatini Arts and Culture Department under the Ministry of Sports and Recreational and Youth Affairs rather. Siyabona ke ukuthi esukweni la itolo nakuthandi about 25 graduates but for like mass certifications abo under these new new developments that are happening under entrepreneurship livela kangwane lithi lifuna kwathatha seriously, particularly in podcasting, in radio, in TV presenting, in sound. Really sibonile ukuthi bongani nzima longangendvuna yembuso etiko laka sports netindzaba ke bantu labasha unikete labo bantu labasha certificate tabo kulandzela ukuthi sebayicedzile leyo accelerator program and they are industry ready. We want to look into that program and ukuthi engabe vele seba ready kangakanani labantwana leseba graduate. We will speak to communications officer of the program Sipilele Makakula at 7:30. For now, let's look at leading headlines today.
Alright, so siqale sibuke i-Times of Eswatini kuleto letihamba embili lomhla. Letihamba embili budget speech taking notes was the order of the day eParliament. Ansilenye lehamba embili 67.6 million emalangeni for elderly grants missing at DPM's office. AG's report reveals money under social welfare department has been missing since 2010. 13.5 million emalangeni iPads lying idle at CMS, questions on 132,719,000 emalangeni cigarettes purchased by the ACC. Once again, Nurture Ministry of Health have to answer on 500 million emalangeni for drugs. More on page 2. Other leading headlines: 350 million emalangeni for civil servants COLA. SAPS validates our AKA murder suspect story, and assistant master's revelation in eBet license owner's estate.
Yeah, nabang paying nje kulama iPad at 13.5 million emalangeni that are lying idle lapha ka CMS. Temidlalo, Times of Eswatini in phase 4 of National Stadium rehab. It's 19 million emalangeni for Somhlolo's VVIP as well as toilets. New look venue will have retractable tunnel, giant screen, among other improvements. On another story, Sihlangu is to play Europe countries if but together is hope for Eswatini football as FIFA is launching the biennial series of friendly games next month. On another one, from the international front, Manchester United's £100 million fire is for sale.
All right, moving on to the Eswatini Observer. Leading headlines: Eswatini Bank hands over another house, that is the MD Walole Pange. In other news, AG rips into Nurture, ARVs procured but not delivered. Delivery of medical drugs procured through Nurture not verified. More on pages 2 and 3. In other news, government sets aside 340 million emalangeni for 4% COLA, and there are 7 new COVID-19 cases.
Eswatini Observer, the leading story: Somhlolo's upgrade, 1 million emalangeni for folding tunnel, 10 million emalangeni for VVIP area. Big screen will cost 3 million emalangeni, 2 million emalangeni for backup generator. That's the Somhlolo upgrade breakdown. On another one, Big 3 for Yellow Sunday, Capital City Giants. Mbabane Swallows will face off with struggling hub side. Imanzini Wanderers, kulempela sonto lesiyakuyo, Emanzini Sports Center. On another one, no hard feelings after Sihlangu snub, according to Pilani Mkondo, who is unfazed about his omission from the Sihlangu Semnigati tentative squad.
As leading headlines on the Eswatini Daily News, AG uncovers missing 67 million emalangeni for elderly grants. Police in extradition process for suspects arrested for AKA's murder, and exponents 340 million emalangeni investors appeal for government's intervention to recover lost funds.
Birds worry of limping Wesleyans in spite of Manzini Wanderers' poor run of form and lying in the relegation cesspit. Title-chasing Mbabane Swallows will not be taking the struggling Hub Giants lightly when they cross swords on Super Sunday at Mavuso Sports Center. Eswatini United promised bonuses. Benny believes he can take South Africa past World Cup group stages.
Yeah, let's 8 minutes after 6. Let's take a break. Nasibuya sathatha izaba Eswatini.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m, where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sifile sive sikhulume.
Kwalomuhla sita wethabela nathi tindzabate siswati. Bashayeli bemaloli lamakhulu bayakhala ngekubabete kwetimphawu temgwaco emabloheni emigwaco lemikhulu kuleli. Kanti ke labashayeli bathi lokhu kufaka sandla etingotini letenteka kule migwaco. Labashayeli bebaxoxisana nalomsakato ngemibono yabo mayelana nalokufaka ke sandla ekwentekeni kwetingoti emigwacweni yakuleli.
Kulandzela ingoti yemgwaco leyenteke endzaweni yaselangeni lefaka ekhatsi iloli lapho khona kugcine kuwa libhlohole bantu labahamba ngetinyawo nabawela umgwaco longithela wayeka. Labanye bebashayeli bemaloli bakhathatekile ngetekuphepha kulomgwaco.
Le first lane mak overtake na lama truck i2. Le first lane iba incane yona ngoba kunalama guardrail aphakathi. Nale bridge futhi laphezulu. Njengoba lingabhalwanga ukuthi li how many meters kuyaphezulu. Lama truck nje ama tot line alayisha uthola ukuthi lephezulu sekufuna uzikalele wena lokuthi lawukhona kudlula yini lapha phezulu leyalo.
Even nala manakunya lezinto lezibambela ama bridge lamaceleni azibonakala ukuthi ziphama ngani. Even now so uya overtake ufuna uyigade lento ngoba maybe mhlambe na ungayihaka ngenzeke accident ngawo.
Hayi must driver lapha siwabona ama sign kodwa ama-sign ayafuneka asisiza kakhulu yabona kufikele ingozi sometimes ama-sign bonisa ukuthi ibridge lincane olikhulu yabona.
Lesikhalo salabashayeli balamaloli sithi asibe ngileso lesivakalako njengoba nasikhulumisana nalabanye labaselihlangothini lwetekuphepha emgwacweni nokulaba ngathanzi kuphumela ebaleni bashito ukuthi vele bungaba khona umngoti lobungabangwa ngilokuswelakala kwaletimphawu kanti futhi nalendlela lakheke ngawo lamabloho. Uma sihamba sihlola lomgwaco lomkhulu longithela wayeka kusuka egedeni eNgwenya uyeka amanzini sibonile ukuthi nembala kude timphawu letishoko ukuthi lamabloho mathe kangakanani kusuka phansi kanti futhi nalensimbi labakhala ngayo ukuthi ingena emgwacweni siyibonile ukuthi icishe ibe sigaba lesingu 1.5 meters futhi ingenela ngaseluhlangothini lapho timoto tigijima khona kakhulu. Imetamo yokuthola belitiko lemsebenzi lemikhulu kanye nekuthutha ayikabi impumelelo njengoba nasibashayela licingo kutokuva ukuthi ingabe bacabangani ngalesimo kubebete lolubambako. Etindzabeni te-Eswatini TV ngingumbongo Dube ezolweni.
So vele embi kwakhomishane lephenya tinsolo tekungaphatheki kahle kwemafa ehhovisini lakaMaster umndeni wemufi Mduduzi Maziya libeka ngilomunye wabacondzisi benkampane yokukebhula i-bet labangaboni ngeliso linye nemkamufi lokungunonjabuliso Maziya.
Umndeni wemufi kule khomishane kanufuna ukuthi lokungenani babe babili bantu lekumele babe lifa lemufi lokungaba nguye umkakhe kayena munye wemndeni. Sihlale wale khomishani Majahengaba Dlamini kanye na khomishani Mzwandile Fakutse basilenye indzaba lengavakali kahle ngileyo ukuthi yashonaphi imali lebeyitfolakala ka ibet.
Abantwana labanengi labanye mhlawumbe abaka sinzeke nekusinzeka but bayatsinzeka at the end of the day ngoba kukhulunywa mhlawumbe nge-estate yeyise. Kunaletinye ke izinto ezikhuluma mhlawumbe timoto kunyamalele yashona kuphi ngabe lowe kunene unaweni nema properties outside the country lalapho ngaba khona some of these loans ngabe tikhona khona.
Part of the estate include a law ibet. That's by clear reading of the application. Minister when the decision the board made a decision and then there was an appeal to the minister overturning decision yalena. So Ngo City argument ya master would say lama issues are not interrelated. They are by virtue of being the executor. Would see not lama shares if needs be sell them as the executor of the estate. So there's no way you can separate the two.
Tsatse wemufi lokungelisiwe Maziya uthi ilhovisi laka master alibabambisi kahle ecatuleleni kwabiwa kwelifa lemufi. Nelisiwe uthi kusimanga ukuthi ilhovisi laka master lide certificate semshado semfathi lomdzala wemufi lokuNgledis Maseko kodwa linaso sekushona kuphela. Uthi bangilomndeni bafika nale certificate seshada samaseko kodwa ilhovisi laka master alizange lasithatha.
Besicela umthetho ayibuke uthi bani wathi thina nje mama sola nje sicela file ubuketwe nemithi lokuthi le into ihambe kanjani ngoba ngathi sitawuqala ukukhombana abantu kwathini angeke usinde thina.
Ummeli Mangaliso Khumalo lokummeli wemkamufi ukuthi indzaba yokuthi labatolwa nemufi bafune ukuthi sale baba babili lababalifa lemufi akubaphathi kahle abantu bakhe. Khumalo uthi ngesikhathi ashada noNjabuliso bese ehlukene nemfathi lomdzala lwakhe kulokuNgladys Maseko.
My client's father demanded to know from Mr. Mazia if he had another wife, if he was married. And Mr. Mazia said, I was married, but I divorced. I will fast forward and then come back. That is why when you go to Home Affairs, because I also did it personally, I did a checkup myself. When you go to Home Affairs to check, Mr. Mazia is not married in civil rights. Because of that divorce, he told his father-in-law that I divorced with my first wife.
Lisekela la master ehhovisi ngamanzini makhosazana Mdlulu uthi bemndeni wakwaMazia behluleke emahlandla lamanyenti kuvela kuleli hhovisi kuthi kukhulunywa indzaba yokwabalifa lemufi Mduduzi Mazia. Uthi lo mndeni uke waveta nendzaba yokuthi kunalomunye umfati wemufi loseningizimu Afrika lokungilambhele. Mdlulu uthi umndeni wakwaMazia uhlulekile emahlandla ukuthi nalomfati labakhuluma ngaye. Ngesikhathi kuhlanganiswa lombiko ikhomishani besachubeka ngalendzaba etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla isembabane.
Litiko letemabhizinisi kanye netinhlangothi letitsindzekako etindzabeni tekukhanga abahlanyeli timali lisemkhankasweni wekulungisa imitsetfo ngendlela letawenta kutsi bahlanyeli timali kube melula kuvula emabhizinisi kuleli. Kanti ngekusho kwamabhalane lomncane welitiko letekutsengiselana acebile enhlabathi kwanyalo ematiko latsindzekako asafaka imibono mayelana nemitsetfo lekhona kanye nekucolwa kweluhlelo lokwekutsi labahlanyeli timali batfole lusito letemabhizinisi endzaweni yinye enhlabathi bekakhuluma emhlanganweni lobanjelwe kamanzini.
Ematiko latsindzekako sekavele yaqalile ukukhulumisana nekucola luhlelo lwebahlanyeli timali kuthi ke bavule emabhizinisi kuleli malula i-one stop shop. Akhuluma kulomhlangano mabhalane lomncane welitiko letemabhizinisi cebile enhlabathi uthi ke timbalwa tintfo letidzinga kulungiswa.
Ngephambilini bokhanza kwekuthi baphuma kulomnyango lo bangena kulo because bafuna lusito siphindze ke satfola lokho ukuthi mhlawumbe letinye tintfo tidzinga kubuketwa kunemitsetfo ledzinga kubuketwa letawusita kwekuthi bosomabhizinisi nabafikako basikhetha basikhanzisa ilivele lifanele ukuthi bangatshala kulo timali. Lokhu ke kubanga ukuthi kube lula kubo kwekuthi bete bate usebentela evini lakangwane. So lo letincabekelwana leti etihlangabetane nebatshali betimali atisito letiseveni lakangwane kuphela kepha ke kumcoka ukuthi live lakangwane lisheshisa masinyane liyendele one stop shop kuze sitotibeka singilaba sephambili ekutheni betshali betimali nabacabanga ukutshala imali bete eveni lakangwane ngoba kumelula kwenta njalo. Lapha ke ngekhasi sihlanganisa tingoni letinyenti letitsindzekako na umuntu atovula lebhizinisi noma afuna ukutshala imali eSwatini. Lokhu kwentela kwekuthi sitokhona sisebente kanye kanye ngoba nase ikhona le one stop shop wonke mvu lotsindzekako utafuneka abe sendzaweni yinye kungaba physically kungaba na online sikhona kwekuthi lo mvu lofuna lolusito alithole masinyane sayibuketa indzawo le physical for ukwakhiwa kwalendzawo yekuthi kube nale one stop shop but angeke kube kulendzawo le physical phela because even online they should be able bafanele ukuthola ukuthi bathole lolusito.
Inkulumo yendvuna yetemafa nayitfula emaphakelo alonyaka ivetile ukuthi indlela letawundlondlobalisa umnotfo kuthi kube netinhlelo letikhangako letitawusita abahlanyeli timali kuthi kube melula kuthi bafike lapha eSwatini. Tindzabeni kubika Sonto Mlangeni unasindiswa Zwane kamanzini.
Amaphakelo hulumende labaniketela uhlangothi lwetemakhono kuleli litawusita ukuthuthukisa emakhono emaswati onke nalawo lasemakhaya. Kanti ke ngekusho kwemphatho welibandla lelibuka emakhono nemasiko Stanley Dlamini lelibandla selitawukhona kufaka tintfo letidzinga bantfu labanemakhono pheceleti equipment kuletindzawo hulumende latakhile ekutheni kube tindzawo temakhono ema-arts centers. Dlamini bekakhuluma ngemuva kwekuthi indvuna yetemafa ifake imali lenganga 10.8 million emalangeni.
Eswatini liphokophele ekuthenini emaswati lanemakhono sale yakhona kuphila ngawo lamakhono. Lolu hlangothi lwamakhono imali leliyitfolile itawusita ukuthi lo mgomo ufezeke. Umphathi welibandla lelibukete emakhono namasiko Stanley Dlamini uthi leli bandla libuke ukuthi kwenabiswe tindzawo lapho emaswati lanemakhono atawukhona kusebentela khona.
Lokusho ukuthi uhulumende wakhe statement itolo endzabeni yema-arts event. Lokusho ukuthi na ukhuluma ngema-arts emhlabeni uyonaka ukuthi bohulumende labanyenti ikakhulukati kulamave lathuthukayo uyokhanza ukuthi ema-arts vele athola imali lengasiyo lenhle kahle. Kepha nje kunyuka kwahulumende kusho kona ukuthi ema-arts uhulumende uwathathela ecophelweni lelisedulu. Emave emhlaba ikakhulukazi lathuthukile vele na ukhuluma ngema-arts ukhuluma ngesector lethatheka ngazuthi imqoka kakhulu ngoba ngiyo levale tikhala letiningi temsebenzi emhlabeni futhi ngiyo isector lokhanza ukuthi ayidzingi mhlambe tindlu tekugujwa netekutholakala kulamanye emave kuze ukuthi itokhona ukuthi ibe isector lesimeme isebenta njengelikhono lemuntu. Kubuya ke embutweni wakho ukuthi sibe makhono nemasiko ngabe vele kusho ukuthini le kithi kusho ukuthi njengoba sike sabika emhlabeni ukuthi litiko lihambele ema-regions onke ukuthi emakhono nemasiko abe nendlebe nelivi kuma-regions kungendeki lo ukuthi na ukhuluma ngamakhono nemasiko ukhuluma ngamanzini mbabane.
Dlamini uthe emaswati kufanele azuze kakhulu emicimbini nasemigidveni lemikhulu yelive ngendlela yokuthi nalaba semaphandleni bangasaleli emuva kutemakhono. Tindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni nginasindiswa Zwane kaLobamba.
Litiko letemphilo linika sive isiqiniseko ukuthi umjovo we-HPV awuyivali intalo kubantu besifazane. Lokho-ke kulandzela tinkhulumo letidukisako ngalomjovo. Kuvakeleke ngemfundzisi wetemphilo Kelvin Dlamini ngesikhatsi lelitiko libambe umhlangano sikolwa wekwakha tinhlelo tekwekuthi wonke lofuna lo mjovo akhone kuwutfola noma ngabe ngukuphi.
Umfufukisi wetemphilo etiko letemphilo Kelvin Dlamini uthi batawuchubeka nekucinisa tinhlelo tekufundisa sive ngemjovo we-HPV. Lokhu kulandzela tinkhulumo letidukisako ngalomjovo.
Sesikubo 62% bantwana lesesibajovile. So bese sibuka ke ukuthi simephi sakhanza ke ukuthi ngoba kasisekho kakhulu etikolweni sekuhamba kancane ke lokujova abantwana. Ngiko ke lele stockbuka lamhla kwekuthi setinhlelo dini ke lesingadenda kwenta siciniseko sekwekuthi wonke umntwana lo yeclinic uyayithola umjovo ukhona phinze khona le etikolweni singaphindze sichubeke kanjani noma sesingeke sikwende icampaign lenkhulu kodwa nje lokuthi sihle siya esikolweni sibanike abantwana mhlawumbe ke naletinye indzawo letivama kuba nabo abantwana kuba masonto cishe kuvama kuvela mibuto mini silungisa leto timphendvulo ke ukuthi wo nakaqhamuka lo muntu abuta kanje naku lokungiko lokufuna kwenteke noma ke lo mjovo uhamba kanje.
Dlamini uphindze wachaza ukuthi tinkinga lelitiko letibhekana nato tihambelana nenkolo kepha ngetigaba umjovo lotihamba kusengakaphasiswa kude indlela buthi lobungafakwa ngayo ngako ukhutsata sive ukuthi sichubeke sijove kude live lilo naleligciwane. Lubika tindzabeni ngusindiswa Zwane Sondomlangeni ezulwini.
Ngekubuka tinsayeya letibhekene nesive kanye nekutsikabeteka kwaso sive ngesikhatsi semkhuhlane i-COVID-19, inkampani yakaNamport seyisungulele uhlelo letenhlalakahle yetisebenti ngaphansi kwesicubulo lesithi all-round wellness for all healthy Namport, lapho tisebenti tilulekwa ngekwengcondvo kanye-ke nangetemphilo.
Lobuke inchubo yekusebenta kaNamport emancamane maseko uthi kumcokwa kunaka temphilo nenhlalakahle yetisebenti njengoba inkampani isebenta kakhulu nebalimi lokumele bakhicite lokusezingeni.
Sineke sitawukhona njani kubasita abalimi? Sitawukhona ngalokuthi sibe nebasebenti labaphilile. Ngoba sikhuluma nje labalimi labalimako lengephandle basitwa ngilabalimisi bethu lesibathumako bahambe bayile. Kunebantu labagadze equality ukuthi lo mkhicito wona ukusemazingeni langiwo yini Uma bonke labo bantu labo bangasibo labaphilile, sitawukhanza singakhona kufinyelela lela la sathunywa khona. Le kulabalimi singakhona kubasita ngoba kufuna sibachushise sibanike amaplan langqono ekulima. Nyalo nje sinetinkinga tabo climate change. Kufuna kube ngithi lesifinyelela lekiwe sithi uyayibona lendzawo yakho ungakwenda ukuthi nekuthi kuze ukhone ukuthi usurvive.
Lobuka tinhlelo enkapaneni i-Eswatini Business Health and Wellness Mbuso Hleta ukhutsata tinkampani ukuthi tibe nalo luhlelo lwekunaka ti-70 netinkinga lababhekane nato.
Ti-70 tiyakhona ukuthi tithole access to bo counseling, tikhulume nema-counselors noma ama-psychologist disemsebentini ngesikhathi semcashi. Siyakhona futhi nokuthi silethe yona i-mobile clinic ukhanze ukuthi ngalesikhathi semcashi ti-70 dikhona ukutesta i-HIV, diphinde futhi sitende ne-counseling, teste ama-NCDs afayikhathi boshukela nabo BP ukuze ukuthi titawuhlala ti-health nasemsebentini.
Kunaka ti-70 ngalolu hlobo kwenda umsebenzi womcashi ube melula. Lobika ngoNsindiswa Zwane, Anasondo Mlangeni, Amanzini.
Litiko letekulima seletfule umsebenzi wekwakhiwa kwenkelebhu letawubita imali lengetulu kwetigidzi letine 4.5 million emalangeni kagucuka. Kanti-ke itawuba senkhundleni yaseMadlangempisi. Akhuluma uma ethula lo msebenzi jinela itiko letekulima Colane Mkhabela uthi inhlose kwakhiwa kwaleli damu kubambisa sive sakagucuka etifuyweni nasekulimeni tibhidvo sitawukhona kutsengisa sicoshe kati etiko.
Kuluma uma semukela lo msebenzi isikhulu sakagucuka umntwana Nkosi Malamba sithi bayathokota ukuthi umthandazo wabo uphenduleke kugcineke kuphumelela lokwakhiwa kwalenkelebhu.
Sibonga kakhulu bonke sosugcine uphumelele. Ngicela naso sive. Sikayibukelela icontract. Sufake lo mfutho. Kunema kusakwenza kwecontract bese kuyadzingeka. Kulala kwegawula nje kwehlala. Yawe yacathi ngomnye umsebenzi nawo lo. Ufika la kwendala sibe nawo sibe sikhona emandla lesiwafaka. Cishe ngaba ngiloko ngosami kubonga bonkosi.
Le itiko letekulima Colane Mkhabela ucele umango ukuthi ubambele umsebenzi ngetandla totimbili.
Ngetheswe ngombana agriculture so kuba icontract letasendela lo msebenzi wayidala ndakagucuka emphakathi esibhedlela lapha lesikole sesithi ngafasi. Idamu wetolo sibona sisasebenza ngafasi. Ngafasi. Siyabonga kakhulu mbana ukuthi sithuthukisa lesimo. Inhloso mbana ngosiyaledamu ukuthi bantu balime ngendazi basebenzise la mali esawabamba la ngendazi.
Induna yenkundla yaseMadlangempisi Alex Thabethe yethembisa ukuthi inkundla itawufaka sandla lesibonakalako kusaqhutshwa lo msebenzi.
Kakhulu lapho basethulele ke ba agriculture naba iwait inhlangano etawakha leli damu inhlangano le inkampani lena lekumakhalf lona uqela nje kubambisana nathi siyethembisa siyingundla ukuthi sitabambisana sibekedelane sekuqela ke nesive sakhona kaguquka ukuthi kusaqhubeka lo msebenzi manje siphathane kahle sitiphathe kahle kucela ukuthi siyethaza ukuthi asinika bantu labaqotho labatakwadi ukuthi bethembeke lo msebenzi asagathi ekuva ukuthi hawo sekulahleke bosemende sekulahleke emabhala sekulahleke emafosholo ugatha nekubambisana kubekedelana kubukisana siphathane kahle umsebenzi wakhe ube impumelelo.
Lo msebenzi kubheke ukuthi kuvuleke amathuba emisebenzi kakhulu kubantu labasha. Kwakhiwa kwalenkelebhu kubheke ukuthi kucala emva kwemaviki lamabili kanti kutawuthatha inyanga letine. Etindzabeni iSwatini TV ngibongozi Magagula kagucuka.
Kutemidlalo licembu lase-correctional lemidlalo we-volleyball labobabe kanye nabomake sengilo boshampiyoni bemidlalo ye-series yesithathu kulandzela kuncoba kumancamu alenzebe. Licembu labobabe lincobe ku-reps kwathi-ke labomake nalo lancoba ku-reps emidlalweni lodlalelwe emavuso.
Phasi kwemidlalo yema-series lesekelwe bakamula sports betting licembu le-correctional likhomba kuweyisa amanye amacembu njengoba seliphakamisa i-series ekucala layiphakamisa neyesibili kanti kulempela somvo liphindze laphakamisa i-series yesithathu kubobabe kanye nakubomake. Okapteni lababili ubobabe kanye nakubomake bayachaza ukuthi kungani bachubeke nekudlala kahle.
Lokunye lesikwendile sesigqume ama-players lamasha so sivame kufaka bona embili badlale bese-ke thina sesiyangena siyaba-assista la siba-assista khona. So but nje lesikonto vele kude siyajima Monday to Friday.
Okay, ngasho ukuthi most of our players bane-experience from kudlala bezone 6 lemaveni. So naw kuyayifaka lelo then nokutimisela ejimini ufake amandla bese uya-apply egemini.
Kanti emabhalane wenhlangano emidlalo wevolleyball afidlamini uthi noma i-correctional seyiphakamisele inzebe amahlandla lamathathu kulandzelana kodwa-ke ayinqobi nje kamalula lokuyingomba ukukhula kwalomdlalo lapha evenini.
Teams zisekatshintsha nalangena ku-top 4 lokusho ukuthi lamamula sport series ema-teams ukuthi aqhubeke ajime awusati nje ukuthi bobani laba ku-top 3 nakanjani lokusho ukuthi thina ku-NEC siyakhuthateka ukuthi ema-teams ayajima and ahlala ajima because siyati ukuthi sitawudlala ema-series.
Kanti iqembu le-Reps libe senzaweni yesibili kwathi i-Bobcats yaba senzaweni yesithathu, i-Res yaba senzaweni yesine kubo babembe. Kuboma-ke i-Reps ibe senzaweni yesibili, ama-Scorpions abasenzaweni yesithathu, izakhele yaba senzaweni yesine. Lobikela umsakazo Eswatini TV temidlalo ngilinda Dlamini anaphathizwe Msibi emavuso kaManzini.
Tingako tindzabate siswati sitawubahlola emarket sitawubuya sichubeka nehlelo.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7#, or you can use Eswatini Imali. You can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any NetBank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze.
Being risky it means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sende ukukhicita lokusembili.
Welcome back. Sakuvusela nawo losandza kusivulela besivete ukuthi sizabe sikhulumisana na MD wenkampani iSEDCO lokuyinkampani ke lethuthukisa abosomabhizinisi labancane. Ekhulumile ke indvuna yeTemafa eParliament ayitfule emaphakele ukuthi bosomabhizinisi labancane inkulu inzima labayidlala ukuthuthukiseni umnotfo welive. Ngakho ke tikhona nje tinhlelo letimbalwa letentiwa live kuzama kubathuthukisa lokufaka ekhatsi business incubation program le provide ke support ukuthi kusitakale ama entrepreneurs ukuthi adevelophe phindze futhi akhulise ibhizinisi yabo. Ku-speech sakhe nje indvuna ivetile ukuthi a total of 155 wemabhizinisi have been part of the program emnyakeni wa 2023, providing employment to 994 weMaswati and averaging about 5 million in sales revenue per month. I'm joined by Kethiwe Mhlanga. Kuva nje kabanti ngawo programs lentiwa nguSEDCO kuzama kuthuthukisa abosomabhizinisi lapha ekhaya Eswatini. Sibonile ke basukumisa tinhlelo timbalwa ekakhulukati nje nasekutophetsa umnyaka lophelile. Sivusele CEO MD siyabonga ukuthi benathile mhla ekseni. Kumele singacala nje sibuke the recent project. I think nisukumise last year nakuphela nje umnyaka wa last year wa SEDCO Esera entrepreneurship project. Ingabe vele mhlambe nihloseni ngale projects lena ithatha isikhathi esinganani bangaki bosomabhizinisi labada benefit?
Ngiyabonga kakhulu lokuthi ngibelana nani. Lengakusho nje kakhulu ngalendzaba le project yethu neEsera ukuthi sibambisene ngokuthi bona kunana iprojects lekuthiwa iAfrica mini grids. So i-renewable energy leyo ke ukhanza ukuthi sebafakela ama-infrastructure le tinkhundleni kodwa nokhanza ukuthi akusetshenziswa enough energy by letinkhundla ukhanza ukuthi batawusebenzisa nje for emakhaya. Kwase ukuthi manje kungcono ukuthi bavule emabhizinisi lawo ma community so that kutokhona ke nokuthi ithuthuke leyo ndzawo kube nemkhicito leyendekako la ndzaweni phindze kusetshenziswe nale energy lekhicitwako ngabe ukuthi seya wasteka lokuthi kutaw produce a lot of energy but ibe wasted ingabi utilized kulawo community. Siqale nga December kwekuthi already siyobuka le tindzawo kwanyalo sibuke 2 etindzawo umvundla nase ebulimeni. Leto tindzawo ke leto ngito la kutabe kubuka khona kuvusa kwemabhizinisi. Siqale ngale scoping kubuka ukuthi vele ngimaphi amabhizinisi la ngaphumelela kuleyo ndzawo. Inhlose yethu bekuthi sakhe 10 wemabhizinisi ukuthi aphume kuleto tindzawo. But lesikutfolile ukuthi like nje emvundla sithole ukuthi singakhona kuphuma na 5 and then ebulimeni singakhona kuphuma na 8. Lapho ke sibona ukuthi kutaw benefita ingqumbi yebantfu. Sibukenya lokuthi totally sibuke at least ukuthi kube around 60 ba benefit from le project lena. Siboneke ukuthi emabhizinisi la kasukunyumisa ukuthi bathuthuke kuleto tindzawo. Kufana nje nema bakery letinye tindzawo bede ma bakery ema butchery ukuthi bangaba nema butchery. Siphinze futhi sibone ukuthi labanye bangatfunga ngoba bakhona bomake laba khona kusebenza ngetandla nabo babe sinabo laba khona kusebenza ngetandla nalapho singakhona ukuthi sende emabhizinisi kanjalo. Labanye ke lesibabonile indzaba yesigayo maize milling. Simply because akufanele ihambe sigaba lesithe solo ufuna ukuthi utawugaya phi umbila wakho at least impuphu we know it's stable so itawusita nalama community nabangaba nesigayo sabo as a community ngalapho phinze solo bayakhona kukhicita ene baphinze bakhe imali basebenzise nale infrastructure le yakhiwebo Esera.
Ngala kuthi vele nini nje CEO vele umsebenzi wenu vele kuhlala nina labo somabhizinisi labancane nende ama trainings nibafundise lapha nalapha. Ingabe nje nanisavakashela vele lemimango inganani lenkapho sekubayaconzana ukuthi vele kumele basukume bona etulu ngalokubuka ukuthi vele unemployment rate nayo isetulu kumele basukume bona bathi sungulela amabhizinisi bafunze abantu ngebhizinisi bafunze nangekuphatha ibhizinisi inganani vele lenshisekelo kibo bamhlabasha.
Kulabasha ikhona iphinze ibe disturbed kancane kulabasha. Lesi kubona ngalabasha ukuthi baqala ibhizinisi ngoba kude la umsebenzi labawutfolile. Ngani thina sithi no qala ibhizinisi ngoba vele yinfo lekufanele ube nayo. Ungabuki ukuthi utawuqashwa ngumuntu. Bona ke kwanyalo baye bathi bagijimela kuyo kwenda ibhizinisi bese bathi nabathola umsebenzi next thing ibhizinisi seyivaliwe. Ngani thina sifuna vele ukuthi kube ngibo laba leadako ukuthi bagijimele emabhizinisi. So le mindset sisayishifta ukuthi vele sibakhange la ukuthi akube ngibo bosomabhizinisi belive.
Siselapho nje kubamfula abasha niphindze nasukumisa lenye program Sedco Youth Enterprise program ingabe nayo leyo itawusebenza kanjani itawuzuza abamfula abasha labasemabhizinisini labangana sichazele nje ngayo nje le project le.
Le project leyo ke sibambisene vele nayo i-Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund. Sibambisene nje ngokuthi bona ba provider lama loans so babaniketa letimali labantu labasha. Thine ke singsedco bese siyabuya stoba coach. Sisayinile ke i-agreement naye YEF sathi sitabambisana for 3 years. Kuloyo 3 years sitawuqeqesha 250 lesimtargetile webamfula abasha labaqale emabhizinisi. Leko ke ku dependent ukuthi lama loans utabaniketa yini YEF. Then thine ke siyahamba sabaqeqesha ngokuthi sibe nale business coaching wesiya la vele asebentela khona lo somabhizinisi sibone vele ukuthi ibhizinisi yakhe ihamba kanjani bo record keeping make sure nalokuthi stock sibalwa kahle nokuthi uya comply yini loyo muntu even nangetemthetho ngoba naloko kufanele sip uphold sibosoma business. So lokho sibuke nje ukuthi sitawukhona lokubambisana kakhulu nalabantu labasha bakhona nanabo futhi ukuthi bayibuyisele imali emuva ngoba lokunye lokuba inkinga ukhanza ukuthi batayitfola le loan umuntu athenge ama asset kusuke lapho wathola umsebenzi ayekela athengise konke but angayibhadali nale loan noma lo munye ayekele abese utshela ku-YEF ukuthi angidobhadala le loan yena mina kanti sifuna kubona laba business akhula kulo lonke lelive laseSwatini.
So kutaba bosomabhizinisi labasanza kuthola le loan noma mhlambe nibuke ukuthi kube ngusomabhizinisi lo sanesikhashana ayivulile le business nitawusebentisana nababe
labanye kade bawathola laba loans besinabo the previous year saqeda kusebenzisana nabo ngabo October last year. So bona bebawatholela ama loans a bit earlier but inyalo sesitawubuka labanye labasha latasiniketa yona youth fund ngoba ku youth fund lo siniketa ukuthi nanke ma clients ethu ngilaba lesicela ukuthi nisikhochele bona niba mentorishe sibone vele ukuthi lama business abo ayakhula yini. Sibonile ke in the past labanye bawina imihlomelo here and there ngalokuthi baqhubeke ngale coaching labayitfolako.
Ingabe mhlambe nasibuka nje variety yalama business nje laba wasungulako ngiyakhumbula ukuthi youth fund uke wakhala iminyaka lephelele ukuthi bomfla abasha basungula banema ideas manye so kwaba nekhathateka nje lokuthite niyayibona ile variety ezinisachubeka nje nama trainings and niyabafundisa ukuthi vele bangakhona kusungula lenye business ingafanani neyalo munye.
Ngilele sizama kwenda kenyalo lokuthi kube nale pre-training ya lama entrepreneurs so that ivele kutoba nale diversity so that noma ba apply ka youth fund babonakale ukuthi manje lama business plans labaphethe available vele kunako lokuthi ngiyakopelana ngimbonile maybe umngani wami aba successful maybe nge-restaurant nami ngigijime ngibe ne-restaurant and ukhanze ukuthi futhi ngidaba dvudane naye ngabe even nakhashane ukuthi phela angichinji location nangabe ngidakwenda same thing but nje siyakubona kuyendeka kakhulu. Kodwa siyaba encourage lokuthi asenibe more innovative nibuke le market ngilele sikwenda ukuthi okay assess market yethu ukuthi map lamanye ama opportunities la khona la bangathepha khona njenge youth ba provide ama solutions nalokuthi bona basesebasha they can take advantage even of things lengthi manje traditional maybe businessmen kadzeni ebekwenda they don't necessarily need bona even ukuthi babe nema office they can work remotely solo bendi business nangabe they are moving to the space sabo IT lezama kuba pusha kugo as well
and also bendi research ukuthi kulamanye amaveti mhlambe ama business la viable ngimaphi naloko niyabacecesha ukuthi bendi research ukuthi yini lenye lengayenda nje le outside of the box.
Yes ngilapho la sesifike khona sibendisa ke nale remodeling because sometimes ukhanza uthi vele so itfolile le loan and le business ayisa-perform ngale ndlela la becansi itawuperforma ngayo, bese siyayi-remodelisha leyo business leyo, simbukisa ukuthi no, nyalo kungcono ukuthi udiversifye kunako, so that at least ingawi ichubeke but sengilenye i-avenue la ithathako.
Ngoba nanje ningisekho nema-programs lamaningi leniwendako nanini nayo incubation program, kumbe kusichazela nje ukuthi ihamba kanjani yona, abasitakala kanganani nje bosomabhizinisi?
Ku-incubation program kusho-ke ukuthi uyi-client yethu, ulapha ka-SEDCO kulama estates ethu, sina 9 wema-estates la Eswatini. So kuloyo 9 utawukhanza ukuthi maybe loyo une-unit yakhe la sebentela khona, siba provider le space sokusebenta, but akugcini lapho, sibese ke siba provider nale training. Bona ke vele bayitfola free ngoba bakithi bangeta anytime for any consultation ngalokuthi nje bak-incubation nathi, siba provide i-training yokuthi bayikhulisa njani le business, siphinde sibamakethe, sibendele lama-market linkages. Nawumbona ukuthi soyastrugglisha, umsite ukuthi okay, nawuya ngalana nayi i-retail lengathatha leyo product yakho, uba expose to different networks labangangena kuwo in terms of le business la kuyo loyo. Nakhona kulama incubation ethu lengacacisa ukuthi kwanyalo we are at 75% in terms of occupants, which means kuna 25% lo ngasi occupied kulamanye ma estates la ukakhanza ukuthi akasi busy kakhulu, or lo wakhanza ukuthi sekadzinga extra care ngoba semadzala kakhulu, so akasawakhangi bosoma business ukuthi bangene ku lesikubonile ukuthi sifuna kwenda kulomnyaka lokuthi going forward, sibheke ukuthi sitawuzama ukuthi si leso space leyo kota leyo sibekele the youth, ukuthi at least bona le price ingabi too high compared to lo soma business lo long established. Lele the other thing lesinayo kule incubation yethu khona laba graduate ukuthi bese sebatikhanza ukuthi bakhulile baphume. Unfortunately, it's not at the rate that we would love. Right now, we only have about 15% nje laba graduate for 2023. Yeah. So we're hoping we increase ngoba vele sifuna laba la sebabancane laba ngakhona ukukhula.
Ngifuna sikhulume nje ngendzaba ye-competition nje khethiwe lokuthi for instance lapha la imbabane nje lamahhovisini enu ni nabo somabhizinisi labancane, I think incumbi yabo bathunga ama-uniform esikolwa. Ingabe niyakubuka yini loko nini ezinisawathatha nama-clients lokuthi bonke 17 yinye, ingabe loko ngeke babangele inkinga in terms of wanda ama-profits yini? Niyakubuka yini ukuthi mhlambe lo munye angathunga lama-uniform, lo munye apheke ngiyabekisa, lo munye nto icathulo, niyakubuka yini loko ukuthi mhlambe akubalimadi yini ebhizinisini yabo?
Siyakubuka. Unfortunately, bosoma business bala Swatini baya persista. Ngisho noma umtshela ukuthi aneke uperform as well la ngoba already khona lo munye lo wenta the very same thing. Labanye ubakhanza ukuthi batawu insista ukuthi no bona bafuna kuba based kuleyo estate. Ngisho noma ufuna kubafaka kulenye i-estate bachoose leyo, bathi bona babuke ukuthi clientele yabo itaba close ngalapho. So but lesikwendile nyalo ukuthi siya diversify, like for example now buka ema estates like bo Pixpeak na bo Matapa sekune diversity lenkulu ngoba khona kuna labo light manufacturing labendekako, ukhanza labo labakha like the mobile kitchens like bomatapa, ukhanza also naba labakha boma frames labakha noma this kitchen bogo granite for the kitchen counters. So there's that diversification kuti segna different industries, and also there's now even a textile one. At Matapa, we've never had one. Matapa, who is a small entrepreneur. And then also, Mbabane, we do have le distinction yokuthi khona vele laba focused kuma uniform, but isibacelile abanye ukuthi asenventure into now designing clothes that are just normal everyday wear and not be compulsory ukuthi utokwenda ama uniform only ngoba some vele bese bati dedicate kula ma uniform, and yet babona during COVID when schools were closed ukuthi no business was coming in, so they have to learn ukuthi diversify ukuthi maybe now do designs for clothing, for events for people, then utoqhubeka ube competitive ngoba awusa focused kuyinye isector yaka textile.
So nasibuka nje i-growth yabo labo somabhizinisi labo laba la kulama estates enu ikhona yini vele mhlawumbe kukhona yini somabhizinisi leni bese niyamkhulula noma locela ukukhulula so yovula mhlawumbe office lakhe lelikhulu ngokuthi so sayithuthukisile ibusiness yakhe noma mhlawumbe you have one and the same people sekuphela iminyaka neminyaka solo bame ndzawonye ikhona yini growth leni ibonako bayakhona yini ukuthi develop labo somabhizinisi
Bakhona la bakhonako, and then we have those lenye ngive bathi solo babakhona since setco abakhona kuthi bekune batali babo before and then the kids took over later on. In terms of growth, ngile nangzana ya 2023 ngilo 15% who has managed kuthi bakhone ukukhula batiphumele, and one of them last year's winner wa entrepreneur of the year Nyalo Ukmatapa une factory shell yakhe. He supplies hardware stores in the country, ngabo door frames and the likes, so he's really taken off.
Okay.
Yes,
So iba khona yini mhlawumbe time frame isikhathi nje lenibaniketa sona bosomabhizinisi ukuthi nasekuphela mhlawumbe 5 years kumele ukuthi salo uyofuna mhlawumbe lenye office kuvulela labanye, because I think ngeva nje ukhala nje lokukhona ukuthi hayi kasetco solo kwabane abantu banye asikhoni thina kungena mhlawumbe nasifuna nathi kuyochuba amabhizinisi ethu niyakubuketa yini lokho ukuthi mhlawumbe vele umfuna emnikete isikhathi lesithide ukuthi abe khona kuleyo estate leyo.
The time frame lesbaniketa yona it's 3 years. Lokuthi vele lapho it's still the incubation. And then after that sekufanele loyo muntu loyo ngabe ukhulile azame ukuthi ugcina uya exit, and kuba nema challenges here and there. I think is notice ukuthi nangisoma business lomncane, actually the first 3 years are the toughest. Ukhanze ukuthi seyitawufaila leyo business, and ngale 4th year ngikhana phinza zama pick up. So we've encountered that, but lengakusho ukuthi vele kasetco khona labadzala labasolo bakhona labangakaphumi, but kwendiwa ngilokuthi vele asihlali 100% occupancy. And it wouldn't serve any purpose to let somebody exit and have that unit ihlale vacant still. So kungcono lokuthi at least kube khona lokhicitako kuleyo unit than ukuthi ibe vacant. Ngalokuthi vele asikhoni lokuthi kube 100% kuba ngilo 75%.
Okay. So nasibuka mhlambe etinkundleni ma communities etinkundleni ngimaphe nje ama programs leniwendako to try and empower bamfu labasemimango labasemakhaya ukuthi batibukete tindzaba tekusungula emabhizinisi batiphilise ngako ngawe amabhizinisi.
Sibambisene netinkundla ministry. Last year sahamba sayokwenza assessment yokubuka banema structures le etinkundleni bawabita ngasetco, labanye baye bacansi vele asetco kani abelonga ku Ministry of Tinkundla. So sahamba sayo assessa kubuka ukuthi singawasebenzisa njani nanathi singisetco vele ukuthi silethe labo business coach nalama trainers ethu at maybe once a week or once a month atofundzisa kulawo ma tinkundla centers. So ngiloko saba submitele report, so we're hoping this year ukuthi to take off leyo element. But lokunye lesibambisane nako sizama kusebenta na micro projects ngoba ngibo laba responsible for rural development fund in terms of kuthi ba disperse lama funds. So sizama kusebentisa nabo ukuthi create a project last khona kusupporta labo sama business laba benefita kule RDF. Ngoba lesiya sikubone ukuthi abakhuli bayatfola lama millions ayeleta inkundleni but ungayiboni intfutfuko kulendzawo. So nyalo besifuna lokubaniketa maybe le aspect yokuba soma business ukuthi bayikhulisa njani business noma bayicommercialize njani khona batokhona kudiphilisa ekugcineni.
Okay. Kugcina nje CEO mhlambe umumfu lomusho noma ke ngaba ngumumfu nje lofuna kucala ibusiness lofuna kwathi abantu ngebusiness ingabe what's the first step nje lekumele ayende kuzama kuba ingcenye ya Setco yama trainings ya Setco?
Angasithinta nje ka Setco ngoba lokunye utawukhanza ukuthi akadzingi ukungena ku training right away but udzinga nje lokuthi simsparke simsensitize ukuthi ngiphi business la ngangena kuyo so si available ku onke ama estates ethu la singamsita khona ukuthi sibatshele ukuthi ibusiness uyiqala kanjani noma ngabe ufuna kuregister inkampani ungagijima business plan kani usengakabuki nokuthi yini vele lo lofuna kuyenda ngoba labanye beda bafike bathi bafuna ibusiness plan but akakayibukile market ukuthi ikanjani nase umcela ukuthi manje okay provide ama statistics akho ukuthi le location nale product lofuna kuyenda yini bese bangathi loyo umsebenzi lekufanele Setco amendele kanti phela kufanele ngabe konke lokho sokucabangile thina nje ukuthi sikudirect ku the right direction and sikulinke with the right market sikulinke futhi ne financial sector nangabe udawudzinga icapital yokuthi uqale leyo business ngoba siyakhona lokuguide kuloko.
Alright, thank you so much kakhulu ma'am. Kuba nathi on the show sesiveka abantu nje ngetinhlelo Setco latichubako kuzama ukuthuthukisa abosomabhizinisi lapha ekhaya Eswatini. Kanti ke kuva abantu sengachumana nabo kanti bayatfolakala na ku social media na kuma estates abo nje bakhona kuva abantu ngekusungula ibhizinisi. Start sekhefu sibe netindzaba lesengisi.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Ujala masada mahle kunathi lesa.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokho
sivile sive sikhulume.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7#. Or you can use Eswatini Imali. You can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Welcome back. It's 7 o'clock. Let's take a look at our news. Siblings and the widow of deceased EBIT boss Mduduzi Mazia have appeared before the Judicial Commission of Inquiry that is investigating alleged malpractice in the office of the Master of the High Court. The widow, Nonjabuliso Mazia's lawyer Mangaliso Kumalo, informed the commission of some of the alleged maladministration of the deceased Mduduzi Mazia's estate, as 2 motor vehicles and a tractor have been sold under questionable circumstances.
The deceased Mduduzi Mazia died in the year 2020. His estate includes a plot of land in Fairview, Manzini, and another one in Mozambique with the rental flats near the beach. The deceased also owned eBet betting license. When the Mazia family appeared before the Judicial Commission of Inquiry investigation alleged malpractice in the office of the Master of the High Court, the chairperson of the commission, Commissioner Majahenga Badlamin, and Commissioner Mzwandile Fakutse said the estate cannot be separated from eBet and other children.
But since at the end of the day, estate is properties outside the country. Some of these dogs have a deep corner.
Part of the estate include a eBet. That's by legal reading of the application. Minister, when the decision, the board made a decision, and then there was an appeal to the minister overturning decision. So, Ngo City, the argument here, master would say, the issues are not interrelated. They are, by virtue of being the executor, would see that's Lama shares, if needs be, sell them as the executor of the estate. So there's no way you can separate the two.
Meanwhile, the deceased sister Nelson Mazia accused the office of the Master of the High Court of failing to assist the family in finalizing the estate of the deceased. She went on to state that it was disturbing that the office does not have Gladys Masego's marriage certificate, but only have the death certificate. She alleged that the Mazia family provided a copy of Masego's marriage certificate. Lawyer Mangaliso Kumalo, who is the legal representative of the widow, says other children of the deceased does not want a co-executor elected.
My client's father demanded to know from Mr. Mazia if he had another wife, if he was married. And Mr. Mazia said, I was married, but I divorced. I will fast forward and then come back. That is why when you go to Home Affairs, because I also did it personally, I did a checkup myself. When you go to Home Affairs to check, Mr. Mazia is not married in civil rights. Because of that divorce, he told his father-in-law that I divorced with my first wife.
Manzini Deputy Master of High Court Makhosazana Mdluli informed the Judicial Commission that the Maziya family have failed numerous times to appear before the office of the Master of the High Court. She also added that the family also failed to come with one Lambele, whom they say she is another wife of the deceased, and she is based in South Africa. At the time of compiling the report, the Judicial Commission was still in session. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla Mbabane.
One of the major factors that contribute to road accidents involving trucks in the country is the lack of signage, especially at the pedestrian overhead bridges. This was said by some heavy haulage truck drivers when expressing their thoughts on accidents that occur on the country's roads.
Following the traffic accident which involved a truck at Elangeni along the MR3 road and resulted in the damage of an overhead pedestrian crossing bridge, some truck drivers expressed their concerns about the safety of the country's roads.
The first lane, mak overtake na lama truck I2. The first lane iba incane yona ngoba kunalama guardrail lapha. Nale bridge futhi la phezulu. Njengoba lingabhalwanga ukuthi li how many meters kuya phezulu. Lama truck nje ama total line alayisha uthola ukuthi le phezulu sekufuna uzikalele wena lokuthi zawukhona kudlula yini lapha phezulu le yalo.
Even nala mana kunya lezi zinto lezibambela ama bridge lamaceleni azibonakala ukuthi ziphama ngani. Even now so uya overtake ufuna uyigade lento ngoba maybe mhlambe na ungayihaka ngenzeke accident ngawo.
Hayi must driver lapha siwabona ama sign kodwa ama sign ayafuneka asisiza kakhulu. Yabona kufikele ingozi sometimes ama sign bonisa ukuthi bridge lincane olikhulu yabona.
The drivers' concerns were confirmed by some stakeholders in the road safety sector who preferred not to be recorded on camera. When we took a drive on the MR3 road from Ngwenya to Manzini, we noticed that indeed there is no signage that warns drivers about the height of the overhead bridges, which is a sharp contrast to those in other countries. The diagonal iron bars that support the bridges are about 1.5 meters into the first lane from the pillars in the center of the road. Attempt made to contact the Ministry of Public Works and Transport to correct what seems to be an anomaly were unsuccessful as the ministry's officials did not pick up our phone calls. Reporting, I'm Mbongwa Dube in Ezulwini.
The Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, together with relevant stakeholders, are looking into operationalizing the one-stop shop for investors. The Undersecretary in the Ministry of Commerce, Kusile Nhlabati, says some of the things that need to be reviewed are the issues of law reforms. She was speaking during a consultative workshop held in Manzini.
Relevant stakeholders are actively engaged in assisting investors in Eswatini to streamline the process of setting up businesses in the country. Kusile Nhlabati, the Undersecretary of the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, emphasizes their commitment to considering all submissions to facilitate an investor-friendly environment for the benefit of the economy.
We're meeting different stakeholders to find out what it is that they are doing, or to also bring them together and find out how they can better collaborate to be able to establish this one-stop shop. It is meant to enable us as Eswatini, because the challenges being faced by business people and investors is not necessarily unique to Eswatini, but Eswatini must put themselves in a better place to be able to be the favorable place of investment because we have been able to efficiently and quickly onboard investors whenever they come. So this requires us to then deal with the issues, synchronize our activities, and make sure that every stakeholder has been taken care of with regards to what needs to be in place for the establishment of the one-stop shop. We need to review the processes themselves to see if we can shorten the turnaround time, and then also review how we actually submit the documents required. Some of the documents do not need to be submitted in duplication in the various institutions. So once they have submitted a document, it should be able to be shared by the different institutions responsible for processing of an investor or a business person.
Nhlabati stated that the ministry is contemplating the adoption of online options, acknowledging the shift of the business world towards the digital realm. Nhlabati says this move aims to modernize processes and align with business practices. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni with Cindy Swazwane Manzini.
Maswati with artistic skills in rural areas will soon be discovered, as the National Council of Arts and Culture announces. According to the council's CEO, Stanley Lamini, the 10.8 billion Amalangeni will help equip art centers established across the country.
Eswatini is poised to usher in an era where its talented citizens can harness their artistic skills to make a sustainable living. With the groundbreaking allocation of 10.8 million emalangeni from the Ministry of Finance, the nation is making a surrounding commitment to support and nurture its vibrant art community.
Kunyuka kwahulumende kusho kona ukuthi ema-arts uhulumende uwathathela eqophelweni lelisedulu.
The Eswatini National Council of Arts and Culture CEO, Stanley Dlamini, says that these funds will serve as a catalyst for empowering artistic individuals across the country. One of the primary objectives of this substantial budget is to equip art centers strategically established throughout the country. Dlamini highlights the significance of these centers, which serves as a hubs for artistic expression, skills development, and community engagement. Dlamini says they will soon install a state-of-the-art equipment and resources. Artists will have the tools they need to hone their craft and showcase their talents on both local and international stages. Dlamini further underscores the Council's commitment to fostering artistic excellency in every region of Eswatini. Notably, the establishment of art centers in various parts of the country underscores the Council's dedication to demonstrating access to artistic opportunities while acknowledging the concentration of artistic assistance in urban centers like Mbabane and Manzini. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Cindy Swazwane, Lobamba.
Following misconceptions pertaining the HPV vaccine, the Health Promotion Department has addressed these around the HPV vaccine. Some people believe that vaccinated women become infertile due to the effects of the vaccine, yet this is not true. This was said by the Health Promotion Officer Calvin Lamini during a workshop where the department was formulating accessible ways of the HPV vaccine.
The Health Promotion Officer under the Ministry of Health, Calvin Dlamini, says that the department will continue formulating HPV messages to be out on all platforms. This follows conceptions about the HPV virus.
Sesikubo 62% bantwana lesesibajovile so bese sibuka ke ukuthi simephi
62% of females have vaccinated so far, and we are aiming to have more, but the process of vaccinating is getting slow. We are here today to discuss ways of getting the vaccine accessible in all clinics, schools and communities. We are also addressing misconceptions that pop up about the vaccine, especially the religious beliefs. As the department, we may say that there are no such things, that the vaccine makes female infertile.
Dlamini also said that the conceptions they get lies on religious beliefs, but the process the vaccine undergo before being used on human beings, there is no way anything dangerous can be on it. He urged the Maswati to continue taking the vaccine to fight HPV. Reporting is Cindy Swazwane with Sondomlangeni Ezulwini.
Looking at problems faced by employees in the workplace and the effects of COVID-19, NAMPOD took an initiative to launch a wellness and health program for its employees under the theme in all-round wellness for a health NAMPOD, where employees are provided with counseling and other services.
The head of cooperative services, Temangamane Masego, says that it is important to take care of health and wellness of employees, since the company works with farmers that need them to be stable enough to give out information that will help boost the country's economy. NAMPOD focuses more on farmers and their production in terms of marketing. This means that the company cannot afford to have stressed and mentally unstable employees. All employees at NAMPOD should be well, healthy and stress-free. The Eswatini Business Health and Wellness Social Programs Officer Mbuso Hleta advises companies to take this program for employees in order to tackle their personal problems they face on a daily basis.
We also have a local standard that we call the Awareness and Disease Management Standard that says all workplaces should be accredited with wellness program standards. So it is very important that as the workforce is in their workplace, each and every person is aware of their state of well-being, where they are in the continuum of wellness, so that they can understand what they need to improve as they continue to work, and how as they improve themselves, they also improve the work that they do.
Taking care of mental wellness of employees help with productivity at work. Reporting is Sidi Swazwane with Sondomlangeni Mansini.
The business community says the budget presented by the Minister for Finance, Neil Rackenberg, is a progressive one and it will foster economic growth. The chairperson, Kusile Fagutse, said this in reaction to the budget speech by the Minister for Finance yesterday.
We are very optimistic. It looks like a very expansionary budget that will take care of the various sectors of society. We see a bigger allocation to the health sector, to the education sector, which is where, as a country, a lot of investment. 17% of the budget is going to education, 10% is going to health. That's a lot of money compared to the total budget. So these are very important sectors for the country, and we believe that the continued investment in health and education is going to generate activity in the economy, but also create jobs in the education sector. We've heard of schools running short of teachers. We believe that this budget is going to create opportunities for government to employ more teachers to help with teaching, more nurses in the health sector, but also services to the hospitals. We've heard of hospitals running out of medications and all that. So this budget allows the country an opportunity to ensure that the service provision in the health sector continues to be strong, and that Maswat in general can continue to rely and depend on the government for those services. But also we also believe that as a private sector we have a role to play in supplementing government's activity in this, and by the investments that are already going on in the mining sector, in the energy sector, there's a lot of money that the energy sector is looking for, so we can generate our own power. So as a private sector, we have a big role to play in those sectors as well. And as Business Eswatini, we're really proud of the government of the day for the expansionary budget that they've presented, and we hope that it will pass in Parliament and run into execution. However, I heard that His Majesty has said we must run at pace to ensure that we counter the unemployment that exists in the country.
The Centre for Financial Inclusion says it is investing all efforts into helping farmers reduce operating costs and securing funding for small and medium enterprises under the FinClude project. The Cluster Development Officer, Sibusiso Motsa, said this during the training of farmers in the whole region on the available opportunities in the market, which was held at Sibane Sami Hotel.
One aspect that the project is trying to address is the market. What we have done, most of our markets are not willing to provide a contract, but we are trying to foster a relationship with NAMPOD, who is the main market for our farmers. There have been challenges in the past. Farmers have been complaining about the markets with late payment. So such platforms are there to address those challenges, how we can foster relationships among farmers and the markets and try to address those challenges. Through FinClude intervention, we've seen an increased uptake of contracts that are being offered by NAMPOD. One of our challenges from the farmers is that they pay much in terms of production cost, which one of them is the input supplies, which in the past year you will remember that a cost of a 50 kg was 1,000 rand. So coming together here, we want to foster farmer input supply relationships where we are saying once farmers are grouped together, they can then be able to buy in bulk, which will enable the farm input shop to offer a discount, which will then reduce input costs, thus production costs will be reduced too.
news, Germany, Britain and other European countries said on Tuesday they had no plans to send ground troops to Ukraine after French President Emmanuel Macron suggested that Western allies should exclude no options in seeking to avert a Russian victory.
The French president may not have ruled out sending troops to Ukraine one day, but that doesn't appear to be the case for a number of his European counterparts. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz agreed that allies would boost efforts to supply munitions to Kyiv, but sending troops was a red line.
What was agreed from the outset among ourselves and with each other also applies to the future. Namely, that there will be no ground troops, no soldiers on Ukraine's soil sent there by European countries or NATO states.
In a joint press conference, the Czech and Polish premiers were also categorical.
I will not speak for both of us, but I think I can say for both of us that we're not considering sending any troops to Ukraine.
The NATO chief also said the alliance has no plans to put troops on the ground in Ukraine. Neither does Sweden, which is set to join NATO. A spokesperson for the British Prime Minister said the UK wasn't planning a large-scale deployment beyond the small number of personnel already in Ukraine supporting their armed forces. For Ukraine, though, just the fact that the possibility of direct military intervention was discussed at the meeting of leaders on Monday was good news. The Kremlin, on the other hand, warned that if European members of NATO sent in troops, a conflict between the alliance and Russia would become inevitable.
It seems to me that those who not only express such thoughts, but even allow them in their heads, should use these heads for more rational thoughts, safer for Europe.
Emmanuel Macron said on Monday that although no consensus existed on sending troops, European countries had to do whatever it takes to ensure that Russia did not win the war.
The World Health Organization says that no humanitarian aid has reached northern Gaza for about 5 weeks. Trucks carrying supplies enter from the southern border, and the United Nations says inspections by the Israeli military are keeping a majority of that aid from being delivered. With famine and disease threatening the population, a coalition of nations are carrying out airdrops of aid over Gaza.
A lifeline for Gaza falling from the sky. Crates filled with ready-made meals and badly needed medical supplies arriving by the tons. It's a joint effort between Jordan, France, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, who teamed up to load up cargo planes with aid, put them in the air, and then get supplies on the ground, where the situation grows more desperate by the day.
No humanitarian aid has reached the north since 23 January. That's over a month now. The urgent access, just stressed over and over again now, of humanitarian aid is needed to avoid further preventable deaths from malnutrition and diseases.
Most humanitarian aid for Gaza comes through the Rafah border crossing with Egypt by truck. Although trucks are crossing the border, UN agencies say just a trickle of aid is getting to those who need it because of a cumbersome inspection process by the Israeli military. Israel says the inspections are needed for security reasons. Last week, the World Food Program paused food deliveries to northern Gaza, where it's estimated that 1 in 6 children are acutely malnourished. A UN report in December found that a quarter of Gaza's population, or about 570,000 people, are starving.
It is very complicated at the moment because there is only the opening into Gaza from the south, which means you have to traverse an entire war zone. From the south, extreme south, to the extreme north to deliver aid.
The UN's humanitarian office says that all aid convoys into the north have been blocked by Israeli authorities in recent weeks, even convoys that were cleared in advance, something Israel has denied.
President Joe Biden's support for Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza will be put to a test on Tuesday in Michigan, home to a large Arab American constituency where Democratic voters have been urged to mark their primary ballots as uncommitted.
Free Palestine!
a critical swing state where Joe Biden faces what could be his biggest electoral hurdle yet.
To please go and vote uncommitted.
For weeks, prominent Democratic officials on the state and national levels have been urging primary voters in Michigan to vote uncommitted on Tuesday to withhold their support from Biden over the White House's response to Israel's war in Gaza.
What I want is the people who are around President Biden to knock some sense into this campaign and tell him that if he does not take a different approach, he will lose key voters here in Michigan that will hand Trump the presidency. Help us prevent that nightmare.
Michigan has the largest concentration of Arab Americans in the U.S., estimated at more than 300,000. Many of them, along with progressives and young voters, are demanding an end to American support for Israel's war effort, which has killed tens of thousands of civilians and threatens to tip Gaza into famine. Recent efforts by the White House to take a harder rhetorical line with the government of Benjamin Netanyahu coming as too little, too late for many voters as the U.S. continues to arm Israel. The president's campaign, though, faces a dilemma. The state is also home to a significant Jewish population with diverse views on Israel's response to the October 7th Hamas terror attack that killed some 1,200 people.
I think that the Jewish community has a very high level of participation in elections and civic responsibilities. I expect that to continue and maybe even be higher right now, given the stakes.
In 2016, Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton in Michigan by around 10,000 votes. Campaigners are hoping to garner a similar number of uncommitted votes to prove to the Biden campaign that their voices could be the difference between victory and defeat in the general election this November.
U.S. President Joe Biden said Monday he hoped a ceasefire in Gaza could start by the beginning of next week, adding that Israel was ready to halt operations during the Muslim month of Ramadan as part of any deal.
On the campaign trail, ice cream in hand, Joe Biden tentatively announced a ceasefire in Gaza on Monday.
Well, I hope by the beginning of the weekend. The end of the weekend. At least my national security advisor tells me that we're close. We're close. It's not done yet. And my hope is by next Monday we'll have a ceasefire.
And appearing that evening on a late night show, hope turned to certainty. The 81-year-old added that the Israelis had given their agreement not to engage in activities during Ramadan in order to get the hostages out. According to Israeli media, the ceasefire would last 6 weeks, entail the exchange of 40 Israeli hostages for several hundred Palestinian prisoners, and allow for some of the exiled Gazan population to return to the north of the Strip. After which, a ground operation in Rafah is very much still in Israel's sights, with a plan to evacuate civilians from the area previously designated as safe.
It's important to understand, moving civilians out of an area that is going to be a combat zone is not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Sure.
And that's what Israel is going to do.
This plan was presented to the Israeli War Cabinet on Monday, but few details have been made public. Another sign that a ceasefire may be imminent, both Hamas and Israeli representatives are in Doha this week for so-called proximity talks through mediators, with the Emir of Qatar, a key broker in the talks, beginning a 2-day visit to Paris on Tuesday.
In our sports news, Eswatini Football Association Chief Executive Officer Frederick Mgomedulu has applauded the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini for an allocation of 35 million emalangeni for the rehabilitation of the Somhlolo National Stadium.
Well, on that front at this moment, maybe first we would like to sincerely appreciate the efforts by government to allocate such a funding for the rehabilitation of Somhlolo National Stadium. We are hopeful and committed to work with government to ensure that whatever requirements that fall part of the standards that CAF requires for fields or stadia to host international matches will be met through this funding. In terms of realism as to whether we're going to be here this 2024, one might say it all depends on the speediness of the implementation of all the required logistics to have the rehabilitation works go through For instance, the procurement of the contractors that are going to do the job, and also how long they will take to do the job. But if we look at the remaining works that are currently at the National Stadium, we are hopeful that maybe towards the end of the year, the stadium might be back. But it all depends on how fast all this can be done, so that we can have the stadium ready for use by our national teams and even the clubs that do duty in the CAF inter-clubs competitions.
It's 29 minutes after 7. We've come to the end of our news. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a break. Sabia Konamanja.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m, where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Residents of Simunye and surrounding areas are notified that intense TV license door-to-door inspections are being conducted in the region. The exercise starts on the 19th to the 28th of February 2024. Stay alert. Our TV license inspectors will be wearing Eswatini TV gear and will have tags that confirm their identity. Don't be scammed. Our inspectors do not ask for cash payments. Pay your TV license only at specified pay points, or call us on 34050163 or 78024545 for more information. Alternatively, you can send a WhatsApp message to 76222000 and we'll chat with you. Pay your TV license today, enhance the industry.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu
Sibili sive sitikhulumeni.
Welcome back to the program. The Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Mr. Bongani Nzima, handed over certificates to 25 graduating local artists who have received training in different areas of arts business through support from the European Union under the Vukubone Sound Lab Accelerator program. Let's connect with the Communications Officer of Vukubone Sound Lab, Sipilele Makagula, just to talk about the program and what these 25 graduates have acquired during the course of it, as well as, how it has gotten the industry ready. Sipilele, thank you for joining us. A very good morning to you. What I like about, the culmination of this program and the certification of these 25 graduates is that it happened on the very same day when our Finance Minister, Neil Reichenberg, tabled his budget speech. And, as it happened on the same day, 58 million Malangeni was allocated to the Ministry of Sports, Youth, and Youth Affairs. I will want to hear your reaction to that, how excited, this is for the youth and how you feel like this money should be dispersed into the different youth programs. But maybe let's start with this development, the Accelerator program. Tell me about it. When did it start? We are seeing 25, they're not aspiring anymore, 25 youth graduate, and they were very excited. Talk to me about the program.
Hi, Siso. Thank you for having me. We're very excited, first, about the budget speech, but we will get there. So about the Vugubone Sound Lab, as the name suggests, Vuga Ubone, wake up and see, or wake up and be enlightened. Not that our creative sector has been asleep, but we felt as though there's a lot that we could still grow and learn from and be exposed to as a country and learn from our neighbors. So luckily, the Sound Connects Fund, which was an initiative by Music in Africa and the Goethe Institute, funded by the EU and the ACP-EU, had the idea of helping the creative sector to progress through collaboration and creative solutions to the problems that we face. So in 2022, when Antidote Culture was founded, we hosted a music conference called the Vugubone Music Conference, where we tabled all the matters across the music industry that we felt needed to be discussed. So it was artists speaking with government through the Eswatini National Council of Arts and Culture, and talking about the problems and opportunities that we have in Eswatini. So from that conference, we gathered all the feedback that we got from the creative sector representatives that were there, and thought, what is the solution that we can bring? So the problems that were reflected on were lack of resources, lack of knowledge, lack of mentorship, lack of platforms of discovery. So we then, as the Antidote team, concocted and designed the Vugubone Sound Lab, which was an 8-week accelerator program with 4 weeks of trainings with 11 masterclasses. So those masterclasses involved copyright laws, creative entrepreneurship, which involves digital marketing, financial planning, because we know how volatile the creative industry is. Your checks are not frequent, so you need to know how to manage that money. We also touched on the creative economy in Africa and the opportunities there. We also touched on the UNESCO 2005 convention, on how to build resilient mindsets for as creatives for times like COVID. How do we navigate those things? And then we also got into emerging technologies. So it's not enough to just focus on your craft, but look at other creative principles that can help elevate your work. So how can you include augmented reality? So for those 11 masterclasses, we worked with local, regional, and international experts to increase our network and potential for collaboration with outside the country. We then had 4 weeks of studio time in a studio space that we built, which was a state-of-the-art space. We had it kitted out for podcasting, for music production, among other things. So they had that 4 weeks under the tutelage or mentorship of industry experts, such as, local Grammy Award winners, to help them through that journey. We also got some experts from outside the country to mentor our podcasters and singer-songwriters. There was a songwriting workshop. There was some collaborations among our participants as well. That was a key component of the studio time. They were supposed to create one song that is individual and one song that is collaborative, because we wanted to show how when you collaborate, there's so much wealth and exchange of audiences that you can also have. So yeah, that's the program summed up as succinctly as I can think of.
And it sounds like, a very comprehensive program, making sure that you take them every step of the way. One wants to ask, now that they have graduated, are you still with them, or they are, equipped enough to go out there and be by themselves?
So as we said, we were just trying to accelerate them. So give them a leg up and a springboard to launch themselves. So we enlighten them and we hope they've seen and then they take it forward. So the next steps is to help compile all the songs into a compilation that can be put online, because another thing we wanted to do was to increase the outputs of Eswatini sounds outside of the country, like on the digital platform, because there's so much wealth of talent, but it sometimes falls on deaf ears because no one has access to it. So we'll be working on that Google One Sound Lab compilation that you can find on all platforms. And then some of our podcasters have already released some of their material. We'll be sharing that very soon.
Interesting. I was, we have the graphic of your graduates on screen right now, getting, their certificates. I see that they're being certified. Then there's Desislava Shumilova from the European Union, as well as our Minister Bongani Nzima. What I'm picking there from the group photo in particular is the representation of gender. I see quite, a considerable amount of women there as well, and yet there has been I would say, is it a misconception or it's a fact that there isn't much women representation? Was that intentional with your program, and how was the participation of, both genders?
Yes, thank you for that, actually, because it was one of our mandates to make sure to have 50% women representation in the program, which stems from a panel discussion on the position of women in leadership positions in music. And oftentimes you find women in front of the mic, but we need women producers, we need women managers. So we made it a point to try and reach out to and appeal to women to apply. But what we did find was there's still a gap there. Our goal was to have 50% representation, but we only managed to get 42% representation, which is quite an amazing feat, seeing that from the pool of applications, we saw that we still have a lot of work to do to empower women and give them the confidence that in such platforms they can still have a voice to say. I would love to see women producers, because just from the experience in the studio space, it's an intimate space. It's you and your producer, and you have to feel safe and the space has to be conducive for you to work in. So we need to see more women producers. So if we do have, or when we do have the next Vugubuwana Sound Lab, I'd like to see more women. And I think it's a challenge for us to work harder to find and empower women to be able to apply.
Do you have in figures the representation of women that you had in this particular cohort? As I look at the photo, on the group photo, I do see that, women are a fair share there, but the men, more men than women there.
Yeah, so we had 42% women and 58% men. So the initial target was 20 participants. But there were so many talented people that we wanted to open up the space, or open up the industry, as people say. So we managed to get 24. So of the 24, I believe 9 or 10 were women.
Okay. And that makes about over 40% of women, which is great. I want to go back to the myriad of challenges that you mentioned that are currently confronting this sector. Of course, you did mention that there were some, things that were brought forward to try and mitigate some of these challenges. But particularly, I'm interested on the lack of resources, because our government and our parliament is steadfast, and they are, intentional about working on creating an enabling environment, for the youth to really participate and really, operate on a conducive environment. How did you, confront the fact that there isn't enough resources in the program?
Yes. So through our program, we thought of resources in two parts: resources in information and resources in facilities. So, which is why we had a huge push to build a studio space, because as all the feedback we got from the participants, it was their first time having access to a studio space where that left them not wanting for anything. Everything that they needed was in the space, and quite a few of them had to learn how to use the equipment because they hadn't been exposed to it. For example, like the podcasters, because people are so innovative and creative, they come up with bedroom studios or create podcasts just from their cell phones, but the quality is compromised in such instances. So we really made it one of our largest goals to equip the space with all the technology that we can at the budget that we had. And I think we did a great job of that. And the Council of Arts and Culture has promised that they will continue to maintain the standard of the studio, and to make it more accessible, they'll be moving it to Manzini.
5 podcasters have been certified under this cohort, I believe, and I was pleasantly surprised to learn that some of my favorite podcasters locally were part of the group. Tea Time with Tea and Delight Discovery, I believe, by Sia Temba. I think I saw them being certified as well there. Talk to me about the other categories that were, under the program.
Sure. So we covered podcasters, we had sound designers and producers, we had singer-songwriters, and we had DJs as well.
And how did that go? I'm specifically interested. You've already talked to me about the podcasters. Interested in the DJs as well. How did that go? The master classes that you told me about, they also went through all of those, and we should be seeing them playing, in different clubs now.
So yes, the curriculum was tried to be well-rounded across the board. So it tailored to all 4 categories. So the DJs, what we had in our application is everyone has to give us a pitch for, if they had the resource and the knowledge and the space to do it, what project would they come up with? So everyone put forth, okay, if I had a podcast, this is what it would be about. If I'm a producer, we had a producer who wanted to do collect indigenous sounds so that he can create a library for producers and singer-songwriters who are creating music to involve our own sounds. So the DJs also had concept of creating like YouTube series. We had one from Wordsmith Felix, who created a YouTube series. You can find it right now, I believe, where he was exploring other works from local DJs as a way of a medium of discovery for them as well. And we also had Sniper Van, who was looking also to branch into production, but his sound often, and his sets, he often finds the deep house that no one is thinking about, because we know the popular songs of Amapiano, but what of the music that people should know that they don't know about? So he was looking into that. We had the youngest woman DJ, Miss T, who was also dabbling into production, and she did a collaboration with Wordsmith Felix on a set. So she had, I think, 2 different 2-hour sets that she compiled, trying to expand her knowledge and her skills under the guidance of Dr. P, who was their mentor. And she actually created a song, which we're excited for that one to come out, because she was testing herself as a producer, because as I said, we need more women producers. So she had a song that she collaborated with quite a few local artists, and that one you need to hear.
Yeah, this is very interesting, and it's gotten me very, very excited, because one of our biggest exports as Eswatini and as Africa at large, Uncle Waffles, she's dominating the world right now, and she's operating in this very same space. So it makes me really optimistic about the future of these young people that just graduated. You spoke on how you are intentional about their mentorship and training, in that you want to provide a well-rounded perspective and context and, opportunities in the broadcasting networks. Talk to me about, some of the opportunities that lie ahead now. Do we have perhaps some story that we want to share? Maybe it could be of one of your young people that graduated, that has had opportunities open for them in the course of the masterclass?
Sure. So we try to, mediums of discovery and platforms is a huge need in the country. And during the program, we actually collaborated with the Mbabane municipality to give us space in the Mbabane Day concert to showcase. So we do have a participant who hadn't performed for a crowd before, hadn't recorded in a recording studio, and so through this program, she is now working on her EP, which will be coming out soon. And her genre is something we haven't really heard in the country. So which is important that we have a diversity in what we output as a country. And in terms of exciting opportunities that lie ahead, we can't divulge too much into that because we would like to share what is happening and in time before we get people excited and things don't go as planned. But we have quite a few collaborations with cultural practitioners outside of Eswatini, because as much as we need to learn and hone our skills in the country and have our audiences locally adapt to what we're producing and support it, we can only make it if we are marketable outside of the country as well. So we need more than 1.2 million people listening and consuming our content. So we would like to engage our partners outside the country to have more exchanges, have more exposure to what is out there, and maybe create music beyond the country.
Yeah, and I just want to use that as a perfect segue to my next question, making sure that they are marketable even outside of the kingdom. And I believe using digital streaming, platforms is one of those ways. There's been a concern that there isn't much volume of, the content that they produce on DSPs, as Pilele. When you look at South Africa, you will find a plethora of artists on Spotify, on Apple Music, not so much on SoundCloud because that's free streaming services. Were you intentional in your intellectual property masterclasses on making sure that they have their content up on these DSPs where they can get paid dividends?
Yeah, so we had two masterclasses, as I would say, on intellectual property and copyright laws, but also one on the digital music value chain, because the way that the sound industry is sort of too complex for people to understand. So we wanted to break down that process so that people can understand what it is that the digital value chain can do for them, and what it is that they should be aware of in protecting themselves and making sure they do get paid for what they do. So we through those two programs try to really hone in what is necessary to not just be on. It's not enough to be on those platforms, but you should be making the most out of those platforms. And actually one of our mentors from South Africa with background in Apple Music and in Spotify was able to take that conversation even further to make it more palatable for them. So, excuse me, I'm having a bit of an interruption on my end. Okay, I'm back.
So I just want to ask, we don't have much time left now. Let's go back to the budget speech, which coincidentally, happened on the very same day of the graduation of these 24 youth. Let's talk about how excited you are about the allocation. 58 million in Malangeni, of course, allocated to the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs. We have heard some reactions from particularly the CEO of Eswatini National Arts and Culture, Mr. Stanley Dlamini, who was very excited. But I also want to hear from you guys, who I believe are the foot soldiers and doing the actual work, working with the youth, of how government can strategically disperse these funds into, helping, making sure that this sector thrives.
Thank you. Yeah. Before I get there, I also wanted to add that for the copyright side, we have the exciting new association, the Copyright Association, and we made sure to take our participants through what that entails and what they should look forward to and why they should get on board. Now, with the budget speech, we were excited to hear that 58 million has been located to the youth, and I believe 10 million to arts and culture. Because currently Eswatini's youth unemployment rate is at a high 50.9%. And meanwhile, the opportunities for youth in terms of the job market globally from the ages of 15 to 29 lie in the creative sector. So the creative sector is growing and booming and creating so many jobs for the youth. So I feel 58 is a great start, but we could do better. And in those allocations, we should look into fortifying creativity in the country, not just in giving resources, but also how many scholarships are allocated in it. Because I feel like the creative sector goes throughout other principles. So in education, are we allocating a quota for creative scholarships? Are we making sure that schools have the right facilities and resources to teach creative arts? Are we making sure that the job market is healthy enough to receive us? And I think, things like broadcasting, how many initiatives are made to improve our film industry? We have a great traditional culture, but what efforts are there to improve dance and music in the country? So I think those areas of knowledge, competency, the areas of resourcing facilities, which I believe the council has been working on in bringing art centers around the country, those are great initiatives and need to be. And I also believe that civil societies that are working in the arts like us should be brought to the table to have that discussion of how can we maximize that 58 million? How can we maximize that 10 million going to the arts to fully grow our sector?
Well, there it is. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Pilela. And I think, they heard you right there. They will definitely, and they should, bring you in as they make these strategies and these frameworks. And also, I think it's very important that, there are scholarships that are there that are provided for people in the arts and culture sector. Everything that you said, I really, really agree with. Thank you so much for joining us. And then what lies ahead now, perhaps this is my last question. What lies ahead after this cohort? Are we seeing another sound lab that is going to have maybe 50 now, maybe times 2 of the graduates that you had graduating? Growth.
Ooh, the pressure. Yes, we are looking forward to hopefully have another sound lab, but it may have some changes based on the feedback that we've received. But in order for us to have more of these initiatives, we need backing. So those who are watching or appealing to you, reach out to Antidote Culture Foundation if this is something that resonated with you and you'd like to partner with us to make sure that we continue to help the creative sector to professionalize its craft in order for us to get our stake in the global market. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us, Pilele, and all the best with everything that you plan to do in the future. Bongosi sicela ukukhulumisana Sipilele Magagula. She's the communications officer with Vukubone Sound Lab. Basebenzaneke nalo litiko laga sports and youth affairs as well as the European Union lekhonile ukuthi ibaxhase ngetimali basaqhuba umsebenzi ukuthi ke bafundise nje abantu labasha kakhulu livela kangwane kuleto tinhlangothi lati balile from podcasting to music production to DJing nonke nje leti tinhlangothi leto, and we're very excited. We congratulate labo bantu labasha labo ke labatfole leto certificates. Sethembe ukuthi ne industry tawubamukela nanathi ke sive semaswati sitawkhona ukuthi sibemukela ba connect iphilisa kulolu hlangothi labasebenza kulo sitawahlola imakethe sitabuya sivale ihlelo nalungelele.
Vibes from Hoops. Studio One is back on your screens with brand new episodes. Brand new episodes. Catch your favorite local artists, live performances, your movers and shakers, the hustlers, doing the work. Entertainment news, local and international. Nothing but fresh vibes every Saturday at 6 p.m. Let's go. What are you doing on a Saturday evening? We got nothing but the best. Vibes from Goose.
It's just a minute before kubumbane insimbi yesiphohlongo lokuhlekiseni sifike baphethelwe nehlelo lethu lomuhla lungelele what's next?
So good.
Business Watch is next.
Yes, so we'll see at 2 p.m. Go Business Watch. So yeah, do stay with Eswatini TV. Sanibona kusasa. Tsala kahle.